Gonna continue on. Sorry about that. We lost short of data space, so I had to delete some things. Now we can continue. Okay, so here we are. Um, Deep voice ran and took his moccasins and hung them up himself. Being very tired, he soon fell asleep. Early the next morning, he said to the girl, "Which way did the red swan go?" "Do you think you can catch it?" she said, turning angrily away. "Yes," he answered. "Foolishness," said the girl. But as he persisted, she went to the door and showed him the direction in which the bird had flown. It was still dark, and the road was strange to him, so he traveled slowly. When daylight came, he started to run and ran all day as fast as he could. Towards night, he was almost exhausted and was glad to find himself near another village where he soon might be able to rest. This village also had an owl for a watchman, a large gray bird who saw him at a distance, and he called to those at the camp, "To who? We are visited." Another owl watchman. Deep Voice was shown to the lodge of the chief and treated exactly as on the first night. This time the chief's daughter was beautiful and gentle in her ways. "She shall be for my elder brother," thought the boy, "for he has always been kind to me." He slept soundly all night and was nearly dawn when he awoke, but he lost no time, for the chief's daughter was ready to answer his questions at once. She told him the red swan had passed about the middle of the previous afternoon, and showed him the exact course it took and pointed to the shortest road to the prairie. He went slowly until sunrise and then ran as before. He was a swift runner, for he could shoot an arrow and then pass it in its flight so that it would fall behind him. Wow, that's fast. He did this many times on the second day, for it helped him travel faster. Towards the evening, not seeing any town, he went more leisurely, thinking he would have to travel all night. But soon after dark he saw a glow of light in the woods, and found when he went nearer that it came to a small low lodge. He went on cautiously and looked on at the doorway. An old man was sitting by the fire, his head bent forward on his breast. Although Deep Voice had not made the slightest noise, the old man called out, "Come in, my grandson." The boy entered. "Take seat here," said the old man, pointing to a corner opposite him by the fire. "Now dry your things, for you must be tired, and I will cook supper for you. My kettle of water stands near the fire." Deep Voice had been looking about the fireplace, but had not seen a kettle. Now there appeared a small earthen pot filled with water. The old man took one grain of corn and a whole whortleberry and dropped them into the pot and set it where it would boil. Deep Voice was hungry and thought to himself that was a small chance of a good supper. When the water boiled, the old man took the kettle off, handed him a dish and spoon made of the same material as the pot, and told him to help himself. Deep Voice found that the soup was so good that he helped himself again and again until he had taken all there was. He felt ashamed, but was still hungry. Before he could speak, the old man said, "Eat, eat, my grandchild, help yourself," and motioned to the pot, which was immediately filled. Deep Voice again helped himself to all the soup, and again the kettle was filled, and his hunger was satisfied. Then the pot vanished. "My grandchild," said the old man, when Deep Voice had finished, "you have set out on a difficult journey, but you will succeed. Only be determined, and be prepared for whatever may happen. Tomorrow you will go on your way until the sun sets, and when you will find one of my fellow magicians. He will give you food and shelter and tell you more than I am permitted to. Only be firm. On the day beyond tomorrow you will meet still another who will tell you all you wish to know and how you are to gain your wish." Deep Voice lay on the buffalo skins, which were white and soft, and slept soundly. And I just want to interject here that the white buffalo is always a very high spiritual symbol, and any kind of white animal is always considered to be a very high spiritual symbol. For the old man's words made him very happy. The magician prepared his breakfast as he had done the supper, after which the boy went on his way. He found the second magician as he had been told, and was given supper from a magic kettle and a couch upon white buffalo robes. The second magician did not seem so sure of the young man's success. "Many have gone this way before you," he said, "and none have ever come back. We shall see, we shall see." This was said to try to discourage him, to try the courage of Deep Voice, but he remembered what the first magician had told him and was firm in his resolution. I think that the translation, and it did say in the Macaw translation that it had been first translated into German and then from German to English. So I think when they're saying magician, they are most likely saying medicine man. After breakfast the next day, he ran forward quickly, for he was anxious to meet the third medicine man, who should try to tell him all about Red Swan. But though he ran all day, he did not get to the third lodge any earlier than he had reached the others. After a supper prepared as on the previous nights, the medicine man said to him, "My grandchild, tomorrow night you will come to the lodge of the Red Swan. She is not a bird, but a beautiful girl, the most beautiful that had ever lived. Her father is a medicine man and rich in wampum. This wampum is of much value, for many of the shells were brought from the great salt lake. But he prizes his daughter more than all of that. The Red Swan loves her father, and all her life is spent in making him comfortable. The old man has met with a misfortune, having lost his cap of wampum, which used to be fastened to his scalp, and was never removed night or day. A tribe of Indians who had heard of it one day sent to him, saying that their chief's daughter was very ill, that one thing could cure her, the sight of his magic cap of wampum. The magician did not suspect the messengers, though he tried to persuade them to bring the maiden to him. They declared that she could not be moved, whereupon the old man tore off his cap, though he gave him much pain to do so, and sent it to the chief. The story was all a pretense, and when they got the cap, they made fun of it and placed it on a pole for the birds to peck at, and the stranger to ridicule. The old man is not strong enough to get the cap back, but he has been told that a young warrior shall come one day to procure it for him. The Red Swan goes forth in the moon of falling leaves to seek for this brave, and she is promised to be the wife of him who is successful. My grandchild, many have followed her, and many have failed, but I think you will be more favored. When you are seated in the lodge of the Red Swan, the medicine man will ask of you many things. Tell him your dreams and what your guardian spirits have done for you. Then he will ask you to recover this cap of wampum and show you what you are to do to find and punish the wicked possessors of it." So he's given a task. Deep Voice was greatly pleased to hear that he might win such a beautiful wife. He leaped and ran gaily through the forest the next day, and the idea that he might fail never entered his mind, of course. Towards evening he heard deep groans, which he believed came from the lodge of the Red Swan. Okay, just interjecting here for a second. Deep groans from the earth, red hue over everything. Okay, these legends have many deeper insights and reflections of what is happening in the landscape. And this is one of the reasons why I pay attention to the finer details. It was not long before he reached a fine wigwam, and on entering saw the medicine man seated in the center, holding his head with both hands and moaning in pain. The old man prepared supper, for no one was allowed to see the red swan, or even to know that she was in the wigwam. But Deep Voice saw a curtain dividing the lodge, and thought he heard a rustle of wings. His heart did not fail him, and he answered the old man's questions patiently and truthfully. When he told his dream, the medicine man shook his head, saying, "No, not that one. That is not it," to each, until Deep One thought he could not tell him any more. He was not willing, however, to give up the red swan, so at last he remembered a dream wholly different from the others, which he told straight away, which is not revealed. The medicine man became quite excited before he'd finished his story, and exclaimed, "That's it, that's it! You will cause me to live. That is the one I have been waiting for a young man to say. Will you go and get my cap for me?" "Yes," said Deep Voice. "On the day beyond tomorrow, when you see the voice of the night hawk, you must pour your head out of the door of the lodge. You will see me coming from the cup." Wow, that just came out of me. Interesting. It says, "You must put your head out of the door of the lodge. You will see me coming with the cap." I wonder what that means, eh? "Which I will fasten on your head before you enter. The magic food I have eaten has given me the power to change my form, so I will come as a night hawk and will give the cry to let you know that I am successful. Have ready your war club that I may seize it to strike whence I come." So just a moment here about the night hawk, is also known as the red-tail hawk, which is personally one of my sun bear birds. Anyway, Deep Voice had not known when he was speaking what he would say, just what came out of me. I said, "You must pour your head out, and you will see me with the cup." Wow. Anyhow, Deep Voice had not known when he had begun speaking what he would say, but as the medicine man looked at him, the words came. In spite of all the tales that he had heard about the young men who had gone before him, and the medicine man told him many that night, Deep Voice was anxious to begin his task. He rose early and went in the direction pointed out to him. When he saw the cap at a distance, he thought that no one was near it, but as he went nearer, he found that those about it were hanging as though leaves for number. Knowing that he could not pass unharmed through such a great crowd, he changed himself into a hummingbird and flew close enough to examine the cap, but did not touch it, for fear an arrow might be aimed at him. The cap was tied securely to a tall pole, and no bird could unfasten it without his actions being unnoticed. Deep Voice therefore changed himself into the down of a dandelion and lighted on the cap itself. He thrust his silver fingers under and between the cords, untied them, and lifted the cap slowly, for it was such a great weight that no small a thing could carry. When the crowd saw the cap moving and that it was being carried away, they raised a great shout and ran after it, shooting clouds of arrows as they went. The wind which blew the arrows blew the down out of their reach, and so it was soon far enough away from them to be safe for Deep Voice to take the form of a bird. As a night hawk, he flew swiftly towards the medicine man's lodge, giving the call as he had named as a signal. The old man heard him and looked out. Deep Voice flew close to him and dropped the cap upon his head, then changed himself into a man, seized the war club which the medicine man had placed just outside the lodge, and with one powerful blow fastened the cap securely, but knocked the old man senseless. When the medicine man had recovered, what was the surprise of Deep Voice to see but not the old medicine man who had entertained him, but a handsome young warrior who said to him, "Thank you, my friend, for the bravery and kindness by which you have restored my youth and strength." He urged Deep Voice to remain in his lodge as his guest. They hunted together many days and became fast friends. At last Deep Voice wished to return to his brothers. The young medicine man then brought out gifts: buffalo robes and deer skin white as snow, strings and belts of wampum as much as he could carry, enough to make him a great man in any country. During all his stay, nothing had been said about the Red Swan. This day, as they were smoking their farewell pipe, the young medicine man said to Deep Voice, "My brother, you know the reward that was to be for him who restored my cap of wampum. I have given you riches that that will be all that you will want as long as you will live. I now give you the best gift of all." At this, Red Swan appeared. "Take her," said the medicine man. "She is my sister. Let her be your wife." So Deep Voice and the Red Swan went home by the way he came, stopping at the lodges of the old medicine men to take with them the wives for his brothers. The Red Swan far surpassed them in beauty and loveliness, and her daughters and their daughters have been ever known to be the handsomest women of the tribe. So that's the storyline of Red Swan, and I'm interested to see if anybody has any comments or insights. And peace out. Have a great day.